Hi, I am Ulti the Big Dog. Welcome to this new video. Today, it's part 1 of my retrospective on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. Now, be advised, that was my first time watching from start to finish, and I will be honest from start to finish in all 3 parts. Part 1 will cover the first 3 seasons. Part 2 will cover season um, 4 and 5. And part 3 will cover the last 2 seasons. And yes, I could compact everything in one 4 hour video, but I don't want to do that. I want to milk out as much Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. content as I can. And also be advised, I did a tier list of all episodes as I was watching, and I will stream that tier list. Now, by the time this video is out, the stream is already done, so you can just search on my channel and you'll find the stream where I speak about the tier list and why I place everything everywhere. Season 1, 2, and 3. How should I describe these 3 seasons? Well, it was a good trip. Season 1, 2, and 3 are really good, entertaining, and great. As I am recording this video, I have seen all 7 seasons, and it took me a few months. And I will say this: season 1, 2, and 3 were my favorite the show aired, and this is why they are in part 1, all of these 3. Now, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if I don't want to spoil too much, because we will enter to spoiler territory a bit later in this video, it's basically a team of people. You get to know them, what everyone's goal is, and of course they will fight Hydra early in the series at least. And each character is interesting. It's a very light-hearted show with a few darker seasons like season 3 and season 5. It's sci-fi, it's entertaining, and even if there's a lot of episodes, I can tell most of these episodes are essential, and the filler count is actually really low considering there are like 136 episodes. Man, I can tell there's at least 100 episodes that count. So around 36 filler. Considering how long the show lasted, 100 episode like of content is great. And the villains, at least in the first half of the series, were good, well written villain. Now, to give an idea of what you will see and watch, it's basically Smallville meet CSI or NCIS. So it's basically Freak of the Week, and sometimes there are criminals with superpowers, and sometimes it's just weird event they need to investigate to understand what's going on, and they want to solve the mystery. That's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in a nutshell. Now, do you need to watch the MCU to understand? Yes and no. It has some link to the MCU, but it's only shout out. It's only Easter eggs. It's not really linked. So you can watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. without knowing about the MCU and you will be fine. But there are some Easter egg like the Sokovia Accord. You need to know what's the MCU to know what's that. This will influence a little bit season 3 by the end of season 3. But outside of that, not that much. And what else? Well, they name drop Thanos, and later season. I think it was like season 5 or so. Um, they name drop Captain America many times. Now, this show, as its core, as I said, it's light-hearted, very funny, lots of good stuff. And yeah, I think that's as much as I can say without saying any spoiler. My experience with the show, well, at first, when the show first came out, I was like, I will give it a shot. And I actually dropped out fast because I was like, am I really interested by that? And the first episode didn't really hook me. Now, you will ask me, why are you making a video about that if you didn't get hooked at the first place? Well, I am a content creator, obviously. So, what's up with that? Well, I've heard people speaking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'm like, oh, it's something out there. What if I take a look at it? What if I review it? Because this looks more interesting. Because, first of all, the series is over. It was cancelled, I think. I'm not quite sure if it was cancelled or it has ended. I'm not quite sure about that. I think they got cancelled, but they actually had their chance on finishing with a final season. I think this is what happened. Now, after seeing people speaking about it online, I was like, let's give a second chance to this show, and I will make a video about it. And I will end up doing 3 videos about it. So, well, this most recent watch, my first true watch from start to finish, was enjoyable for most of the trip. Most of the season were great. Well, great. Most of the season were good, I should say. There's ups and downs all over the place. There's a lot of really good moments. And the first 3 seasons are solid. Really. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. first season. Now, I will tell you this. The first time I've seen the show when it first came out, I was just done with Arrow first season, or first 2 seasons. I cannot remember when I first started Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I remember tapping out of the series after 1 episode. I didn't really give any chance to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now that I have a YouTube channel, I was like, let's give a second chance to this TV show. What if it's really good? And I was just not into it back then when it first came out. I should have stuck around. I should have been part of all of the discussion online about this show. I will tell you this. My first watch of this TV show here in 2022, I enjoyed the trip I had with first season. The worst episode this season was episode number 2. I gave it a freaking 5 out of 10 because this episode was godly awful, and they fixed a plane by throwing a lifeboat in the hole. It felt like too much cartoonish, not realistic enough for TV. I almost tapped out. I was like, I hope it's the last time I see that kind of weird stuff happening. And so far, I've only seen season 1, so I don't know about future season, but that was the worst episode of season 1. Now, I will tell you this. The plot twist, the writing, everything is really good. The main villain, Ward, the double agent, and Garrett. Garrett was amazing, but this is funny because the first time I've seen Garrett, I was like, that guy sounds suspicious. I didn't know he would end up being Hydra, but I still found the guy really suspicious. And they were good enough to make the viewer care about that character. To tell, oh yeah, that guy is one of the good guy, even if he is sketchy and stuff. Season 1 is really good. It's not a masterpiece, but it's still really good. I think it's on the level of Arrow first season, maybe a bit better when I think about it. It was really hard for me sometimes to find issues. There were many 10 out of 10 episodes in that season, and there were a few 9, one 8.5, one 5. I think what really affected the last score I gave to season 1 was that really bad second episode. Sometimes the filler episode, you could see the ending coming, you could see the plot twist, but the overall idea of that girl with the glasses being a good girl was kind of cool. Now, I think if we speak about teams, we could speak about teamwork, we could speak about friendship, we could speak about trust. Trust is essential and very important, especially when we got the episode Turn, Turn, Turn. In that episode, there's a lot of plot twists left and right. They all make sense, they're all well written, and they suffer to your expectation all the time, and you don't see the ending coming. You don't, except if you maybe have read the comics. I did not. I think I will eventually, but I can tell. It's well written. It was very entertaining. I liked the trip. Now, will I ever rewatch just for entertainment's sake or for fun? I will be honest. I don't see myself rewatching. I think there's some kind of bad value in rewatch. Here's the why. Most of the episodes you forget about them. Nothing is really impressive. Nothing is like, wow. But the first time around, you take a look at the series and you find out about Garrett, you find out about Ward. It's really good. But once you know they are double agent, villain, and stuff, part of the value is just gone. There's no more surprise plot twist, and you're like, I know this is just to subvert expectation, you see it coming. Now, to keep it in line with trust, after basically Coulson find out that Melinda was reporting on him, he lost trust in her. And he said at some point, you're an ally, you're not a friend. And that kind of line, it's like, wow. It's smart, it's clever, it's well written. And it makes sense. He lost trust in her. And I think I like pretty much everyone outside of the two scientists. That season, the two scientists, they are a plot device, or they are exposure, or I should say, exposure dump. They basically, rewind, they basically give you the lore behind the show, the science and all the good stuff, you know? But they don't feel needed. These two characters are one character, the way I see it. Now, I've seen 4 episodes in season 2 so far, and I'm very glad they separated both characters so they have their own storyline. It's great. In season 1, the build-up by the end, when they are thrown in the ocean, was kind of great. I will tell you this. I think that's why they wanted to do that. These two scientists are two different characters, but they basically do the same thing in the show. Now, speaking about characters, Coulson, amazing. I can relate a lot about him. He is impulsive, like he will do stuff outside of the rules. He won't always think by the book. He will think outside of the box for the well-being of the mission or the well-being of his team. He values his team a lot, and this is very likable. It feels like any leader in NCIS. Now, I think I like a lot that show because it feels like it's Smallville, but Smallville clashed with NCIS TV show. And it's well done because tone wise it's like Smallville, but the kind of plot line we have is it's like NCIS. They do an investigation. Oh, something weird happened. Oh, someone weird shows up. That's well done. That's really good. Season 1 is very welcomed. I think it's good to watch, and I feel like I missed something not watching as that was going on 10 years ago or 9 years. Regardless, I am looking forward to see season 2, and yeah, Sky, another great character. She gets so much so fast. The villains are great, even the weekly ones, and I like it. I think this show is underrated. I don't know about later season. As I said, I tapped out of the show fast because I never really gave it a chance 9 years ago. And this is kind of sad. Now move on with the video. Before we move on, I need to say this. I think it was episode 19. We got someone that had trust issues and he has suspicion. He had basically a polygraph made to the double agent Ward. No. I almost forgot to mention this. Before we move on to season 2, I need to speak about a few things that happened in season 1, a few issues I had. The first one, well, plot armor. We got these meta-human that have super strength. Yet, some people survive blows. They don't have broken legs or broken arms. It's weird, right? These people can throw you across a room and you won't even have a scratch. Now, this is not the only show that does such thing. I remember Arrow Season 2 having the same kind of issues, but here's the thing. I cannot disregard it. I need to mention it. I don't like that. The second issue I had happened, I believe, in episode 19 or 18. It's really hard to remember, but basically what happened, we had Ward, the double agent working for Hydra, that came back at the safe hideout where the remaining agents from S.H.I.E.L.D. were hidden. Now, agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. under Coulson Wing wanted to enter the battlefield for a mission, and then we got that guy in charge of the building that basically gives a polygraph to pretty much everyone. Now, we will say this. This guy has trust issues, and it's normal. It's kind of good to have such trust issues right after Hydra took over your agency. So, now we see the polygraph, and Ward is clearly a liar. At some point, the guy that has trust issue even pointed a gun at Ward. But yet, after the polygraph, he's like, oh no, you're good. I was suspicious of you, but you're good. Yes, he's keeping tab on him, but then he doesn't act like he has that trust issue anymore for the rest of the episode. And this happened only for the plot to move forward with him dying and Sky leaving the base with Grant or Ward. I don't like that. It makes no sense. But here again, these are only a few issues here and there. 9 out of 10 for season 1. It's kind of good, despite all of the issues here and there. I am excited to cover season 2. So far, I'm half done with season 2. Season 2 is actually better so far. Well, around the same. It's around the same. I think it's more consistent, or it's more like season 2 as the same level of quality all over the place. It's always 9.7, 9.5, 10, so it's a really good season so far. So let's move on with the video. Here we are with the viewership. As usual, in all of my retrospective, we will only point out a few episodes out there. So the series premiere sit with 12.12 million, which is kinda high. I do think this is the highest viewership we had over my channel so far, which is kinda interesting. Now let's take a look to the second episode, one of the worst the series ever aired, 8.66 million. So we can see a huge drop, and that drop will actually be maintained. What I mean by there is, it feels like, based on the first 4 episodes, that the first episode is a mistake. I guess 4 million were not interested into more Marvel product. Based on what I see, what they consider the mid-season finale is episode 13, which tracks 6.62 million. Coming back from that 1 month break, we get Tahiti, 5.46 million. Now, usually with the other shows, the mid-season finale is basically episode 9, episode 10-ish. Here it's different. So it's really interesting to see that. With that being said, let's move on to the penultimate episode and the season finale. Episode number 21, Ragtag, 5.37 million. And the season finale, 5.45 million. So after a full season, they lost 7 million if we consider the pilot, the first episode ever made. Or they lost basically 2 million to 3 million if we count the average we got in the first 4 episodes. So we can see some people were not on board, some people didn't care enough to watch it weekly. Season 2 starts off with 5.98 million, almost 6. Very interesting. Now the follow up with Evie is the Ed, 5.05 million. Now there is a clear cut with episode number 10. This is the mid-season finale here because they take a almost 3 month break after that. So with episode 10, what they become? 5.29 million. Aftershocks, coming back from the break, 4.48 million. And we can already see a huge drop with the follow-up episode. Because SOS is actually a 2-parter that aired the same day, I will consider Scars as being the penultimate episode with 4.45 million. Now with the final episode, 3.88 million. Now I will say this, the season almost started with 6 million, so they basically lost 2 million. 2 full million are gone. So does this means people stopped liking the show at that point? It lost a lot of its steam and popularity within the fan base if we only take a look to the numbers. Now, as usual, I will repeat myself. I will repeat myself. Um, Viewership like that is not the biggest thing because a lot of people find other ways than their TVs, but it's still relevant because it tells a number, you know. Here we got the season premiere of season 3 with 4.90 million, and then the follow up episode 4.32 million. Interesting, we get a full million drop between 2 and 3 premieres, which is interesting because it's normal for all shows to lose viewer during the time of the show. Mid-season finale sit with episode number 10 with 3.85 million, and then bouncing back right after that break, the mid-season premiere 3.52 million, and the more we see stuff and the lower it gets. Very interesting. Absolution and Ascension were the same day. It's not a two-parter, so I guess we will take a look. 3.03 million against Emancipation, 2.93 million. So now it's coming really low considering the show first started with like 12 and then it dropped to 8 and then it dropped to 6 and then it dropped to where we are right now. It lost like 75% of its viewership, I think. It's a huge drop, I must say. And this is very sad because the first 3 seasons were the best. They were my favorite. And I know based on the comments on Rotten Tomato that I'm probably the only one that will think this way. But hey, things happen, people have opinion. So here I suspect the viewership dropping was due to the story quality and the overall TV show dropping and taking a dive, I guess. Because I will repeat myself, the best season was the first season. As much as I like season 2 and 3, I cannot blame anybody to just drop out of the show after season 1 ended because season 1 was filled with weekly villain despite not being filler. So here we are. I will show again the viewership for season 3 before we move on because I already covered season 3 in part 1. But hey, if you are a newcomer and you are wondering how the viewership used to be in past season, well, there we are. 4.90 million with the season 3 premiere, 4.32 million with the follow-up, 3.85 million with the mid-season finale, 3.52 million with the mid-season premiere. So they really struggle to maintain their numbers. It's just dropping and falling. Emancipation with 2.93 million. I think it's one of the lowest episodes in the entire show so far. Then we get the season finale with 3.03 million with a two-parter. Here we are. Season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is a very sad situation where there is a lot of good in that season. And there's also a lot of bad. And it's kind of sad. And I will also say this. It's my first time watching the show. As you know it, because I already said it earlier in this video. Season 1 was better than Season 2. However, I still think Season 2 is still a strong one. What went wrong? What went well? Let's break it down. In this season, we get more of Ward, and the fact that Shield is now considered like outlaws because they are no more part of the government is kind of interesting, and that will uh, conflict in some ways against the military was kind of cool. I liked it a lot. Talbot, I think it's General or something. He is a great character. At first, you're like, we don't know if he will be with our shield agent or if he will be that obstacle, and depending on the episode, he will be ally and foe at the same time. This season, we had Hydra as the new main villain. This season, we also had Sky origin story. Basically, we learn about who are the parents of Sky, and we also find out that Daisy is actually Sky's name. So it's kind of cool. Daisy has now superpowers. She has some kind of very strong telekinesis. It's kind of cool. I like that it took a while for her to master her powers. So she's not a Marisu. She doesn't naturally become good at everything. She practiced, she trained with other people, and it's very interesting that aspect with her parents. At first, we think that the father is a monster, but in a clever way, they subvert your expectation by making the mother the monster, controlling the father. This is great storytelling, in my own opinion. When you subvert expectation, it's good because it's hard to predict. Is it the best writing ever? Not really, because the seeds don't really matter that much. But hey, I still like it. Now, I enjoyed a lot the fact that we had some kind of two arcs, the Hydra arc at the start of the season, and like the Inhuman arc like in the back half. That was a good idea. That felt refreshing. That felt new. I also enjoy a lot Fitz. That poor guy with brain damage. At first he's like, I'm different, and people don't really accept it, and he struggle with how different he is because of brain damage, and it's kind of cool. I enjoy it a lot. Genma being like that double agent inside of Hydra was kind of cool. I liked it a lot. My biggest issue with that storyline is how short this is, and I feel like it was rushed in order for the first half of the season to happen fast, you know? They really wanted to close the book in the first half, and they were like, that's the map, and just follow like the episode list and just be fast, you know? Ward being back was kind of cool. I enjoyed it a lot. At first, he feels different. At the end, you realize he is not. Coulson, now director, is kind of cool. Now, what I really didn't like. Personal drama, that pisses me off so much. Second thing I really didn't like, the whole idea of two shield. The guy with the glasses shield and Coulson shield. This is stupid. We got the Inhuman, we got Hydra. There's a war with four parties because two of the four parties are fighting each other already because there's a power grab. Now, I think I understand where they were coming from. They are like, okay, the first half deals with Hydra having that kind of power grab after the leader died. So let's do the same with Shield. that that show them like being the same as Hydra with that kind of power grab storyline and double agent inside of Coulson team, whatever. I didn't like it. They are on the same side, but they fight each other because the plot wants some conflict there. I really didn't like this at all. It makes no sense. The guy with the glasses is clearly a villain. He is out there for power, and he's not trustworthy. And May taking a seat, I understand where she's coming from, but that still bothered me because that felt off character. Because the moment she took a seat side by side with the villain, it felt off character. Even if they tried to justify it with flashback and with her old speech with Coulson, I wanted my word and stuff. It just bothered me. It feels like they didn't know what to do with May. Yeah. Another issue I got was maybe the mother turning out to be a villain at the end. I think she was more interesting when she was more of a great character, just helping out the Inhuman. But at the end, she's just like that monster that just want to kill people. Oh, they are human. They are not like us. Let's kill them. Great. I understand like the backstory. Hydra tortured her and changed her and stuff, but it doesn't feel like she is a believable. I don't believe on that villain. Daisy Mother, I just don't buy her into that villainous role. I don't know if it's the writing or the actress. I don't know what went wrong, but I just don't feel like that character is a good villain. Now, I will say this. She is a villain. She does villainous things. She kill people, and she wants to kill people. So, yes, she is a villain, but she's not a really good villain. She's not as interesting as the father. The father was amazing that season. And another great villain, Ward. Ward was great. Yeah, some of the new characters in the cast are really annoying. I think about the blonde girl that was a double agent that almost got killed at the end of the season. At first, I thought Hunter was kind of annoying, but I started enjoying that character a lot by the end of the season. I think that character ended on a good spot. And now I feel like I need to address that elephant in the room, where the money is coming from for all the mission Shield ad. Look, I know they are all like they were all like government operative. They had like a lot of money in the past because the government was paying them. But we are led to believe that the event on season 2 are happening in an entire year. Like if you don't get if you don't get a paycheck like each 2 weeks or each week, at some point you will run out of money. Where the money is coming from. And they also spoke about that, like in the early stage of the season. They said it. We like volunteer to do that kind of stuff. We are not really paid, and that's also why Hunter at the start of the season he accepted like to betray Coulson to get like a big payday. But I don't think the money he got from that served the entire mission. It served him well, but it's not really said. Um, yeah, I still think that was a good season. Deadlock was cool. Um, I will bring back old issues. Plot armor, man. We have Inhuman and we have people with super strength that are basically crushing these normal people and they survive. Okay, whatever. You are getting flipped over a table and stuff and oh, you don't have anything broken. You're just fine. What else? I think the reason why it's not as good is really the drama between both Shield and the personal drama. Sometimes it felt weird, and the fact that all these Inhumans just followed their leader, it felt weird. Like it's not because your leader is a villain that everyone will turn out to be a villain. And the some of the other Shield people are not really likable. The guy with the glasses, I could not stand him. I was actually happy when he died. I was like, well, he deserves it. Even if the mother is a villain, he deserves it. I mean, okay. And yeah, I'm also glad they killed off the character that could see the future. It's too broken to keep that kind of powers in the story. That bothered me. I was like, how will they get rid of that character? How? And if that character stays around, that will only become a MacGuffin or a answer to every single question you get. And I don't really like that kind of device. So I think the idea of a place for all Inhuman was really cool. The action, the firefights, the fight choreography, everything is still very good. Flashbacks are well used. Grant Ward, as usual, he got great stuff with his brother. And yeah, I think if I would give a grade to this season, 8.5. I don't see it more or less. Season 1 was a 9. This one is 8.5. Because I just feel like it's not as good. It's just not. Anyway, let's move on with the video. Based on what I see right now, I liked the first season much more than the critics or the audience on Rotten Tomato, which is interesting. With that being said, let's go read out some comment from the audience because we all know critics are full of crap. Let's read out the first 4 and then I will scroll down. I didn't think I'd like this because I thought bringing Coulson back was lame, but it was actually really good. I love all the show interact with the movies. Say that for the first season. Season 2 keep going in that path. Season 3 as well, but Season 4 decided to pick another path. And later on in the show, they will basically only give away some Easter eggs here and there. Now, the second comment. It has a slow start, but soon pick up pace, unraveling into a thrilling roller coaster of action and unforeseeable twist, trying into the film franchise in a tasteful and creative manner. I do agree a lot with that comment. There's a lot of good twists. I say that for the first 3 seasons, and now the more the show kept going, the more the twist felt the same. But it's just coming from me. I mean, you could like the twist season 4 5 had to give, but I do think season 1, 2, and 3 had the best twist out there, and they felt fresh and new. The longer the show kept going, the weaker the twist became. Although it has a slow start, this season finishes strong and is an excellent introduction to one of the best MCU products. Guess what? I fully agree 100% with this comment. And that grade makes sense. Maybe I was a bit too generous with season 1, but hey, season 1 was good. I really enjoyed the storyline and plot, and how they didn't make the episode all linked together until the end of the season when they did a whole storyline of S.H.I.E.L.D. collapsing, and it was really fun to see another perspective of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents struggle during that time. So I will say this, even if it has 22 episodes, I think the first season was really strong. Now, I will say this as someone that only have seen the entire series once. There's not that many filler. Look at every single season, every single episode. Very low is the filler count in terms of episode. And this is impressive. Now, season 6 for me is filler. If I ever rewatch the entire show, I skip 6. 6 is really bad. It's an abomination. I already spoiled future video. But the start was great, and I think they did link everything in the early stage in the show at least. I will read the next two, and then I will read the novel the big fan has written on May 15th. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the Marvel Cinematic Universe first foray into the realm of television. We're reintroduced to many familiar characters from the films and are oh my, another novel. Are you kidding me? Okay. Are a new lovable cast of character. The series does what Marvel still largely failed to do to this day, which is to highlight the consequence of the action committed by our favorite heroes on the big screen. I agree 100% with this statement. I like your comment. The series shows us how aspects of the film impact the larger and more down-to-earth world of the MCU, and it even goes further as to explain aspects of the film that were left unexplored. Unfortunately, it ties to the film is simultaneously its downfall, as having to keep in line with the events and rules of the MCU prevented the series, at least in its first season, to take big risks. But at the same time, the show provides a lot of payoff to fans of the films. Now we got someone that didn't like it, but I think cliche script. I can understand where you are coming from. Cliche may be a flaw, but that doesn't mean you got a bad product at the end. But that's my take. So now we will read the great novel we got there. I feel like it will be juicy. For 5 stars, I really love this show. This show hosts a legendary cast, including Clark Gregg, Avenger What If, The New Adventure of Old Christine, Ming Na Wen, Mulan, Mandalorian, Street Fighter, Kobe Smulders, Avengers, Age of Ultron, I should say, Avenger, Infinity War, How I Met Your Mother, along with others such as Natalia Cordova, Chloe Bennett, Henry Simmons, and more. The twist and turn that it took for a better part of a decade never ceased to amaze me. However, this show could have done better with trying into the greater MCU, tying, I should say. I thought it was trying, but that was tying into the greater MCU. Well, I don't care about the greater MCU. I'm glad with that sole product, which they did well with the first two seasons, but after season 5, I was under the impression that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was in a different universe, which may be the case. Actually, one thing I enjoyed was the lesson of redemption. Millicent May spent the entire show making peace with her choice, and it was very exciting to learn the story of how the cavalry became the cavalry. I very much enjoyed the Inhuman storyline and seeing diverse representation for Marvel. Seeing people that look like me that were actually able to make a difference instead of being someone's henchman really earned some point for me. Don't you see modern Marvel and Disney? That's what we want. Another area of growth was the length of the arcs. I agree. Especially in season 4 and 5, more especially the framework arc, season 5, and the time travel arc, season 5. Framework was season 4 actually. I felt as if they were squeezed together. In the end, the show is very good, and I would completely recommend. Now, I don't agree with everything. Look, the show was good at first. It started off really strong, and I do think later season took a huge hit, but that's just me, and you will see in future video. I have part 2 and 3 already done in the book right now. Oh, 4 stars and a half, or actually 3 stars and a half. I'm actually surprised of this first comment. It's the weakest season. I fully disagree. It was the best, but hey, we all have our own opinion. I want to see more. It passes the time, introduces the character, and offers some good moments. I do agree. If you get to the last few episodes, it gets more interesting. I agree. Just don't give up yet. I agree. The rest of the show is better in my opinion. So, there's not enough explanation. I guess that person will basically tell why in future season, I guess, if he ever left comment there. Well, later season are not as good, but that's just me. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fantastic show with a season under its belt. The show has a lot to offer. Fight scenes are amazing, reaching levels most TV show and even some film can't reach. I agree. Keeping you on the edge of your seat throughout. I agree. Followed with the insanely brilliant music that delivers a thrill with every second. I will tell you this, especially in early season, I do think music was great. I didn't mention that much music in any of the thing I recorded so far. So I will say this right now, the music was really good in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I do think it was better in early part of the show. Pretty much everything was better in the early parts of the show. But there again, that's just me. Later on, we got like a watered down version of all of the teams. I was like, yeah, no. The story for each season have you hooked from the start, leaving you emotionally hyped for the next episode. I highly recommend anyone who loves Marvel and wants action-packed TV show to watch to give it a go. I understand. Season 4 is my favorite. The dark, gritty, violent tone was amazing. Did you forgot like the bad part in the middle of season 4? I do understand like the start was amazing. The ending was kind of good, but season 4 was not that amazing. But here again, that's just me. A really fun, smaller scale story with an absolutely amazing last 7 episodes that tie into Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Yeah. This time around, the audience and the critics were more on board than me with this second season. Interesting. So I guess some people got hooked there. Uh, I guess let's read out some of the audience comments out there. I am curious to read more. This season was pretty good. I thought that Daniel Whitehall was a great villain. I do agree. It was actually the best part of season 2. I also think uh, the back half kind of hurt the show a lot. That was like my least favorite part of the season. Anyway, I already spoke about pretty much everything already, so let's read more. I am curious to see if we can pack in, jam in, call it the way you want. We can actually do that. Can we? Yes, we can. So, yes. Can we see the bottom part? Yes. Okay. That's kind of great. Perfectly introduced the Inhuman into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and picks up right where season 1 left off. It addresses many unanswered questions yet introduces even more, maintaining mystery and intrigue as the show progresses. In addition, the finale yet again ties into the film in quite a fantastic way. I actually forgot that part. Uh, yeah, I don't know what they are talking about here. I really forgot. It's kind of sad. Yeah, I can't remember. I've seen that like 2 months ago or so, and since then I've seen Gotham. I've seen many movies, so yeah, it's kind of far behind. Um, so let's move on. The story begins to transform from an episodic monster of the week style to a more serial style. I do agree with that. Actually, that's part of what I liked from season 2 and 3. It was much more serialized. Uh, but season 4, they they branched off. Like they went back to monster of the week. Um, Yeah, beginning with this season, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shows that it has a lot more to offer than simply an expanded view of the MCU. I do agree, season 2 was still really good. Even if that's not the greatest thing I've seen, I will give credit where credit is due. Season 2 was good. It was just not as good as season 1. But here again, that's just my take, my opinion. Maybe in the future, if I ever rewatch the first 3 seasons, I will have a different opinion. But I know, like, after the first 3, I don't think I will rewatch all season. Anyway, next one. Slightly better than season 1, but still cliche script forced to in that seemed like we're shot at the last minute. Oh, that's like the worst part of the show, right? That's harsh. A likable continuation to the first season, but not as great. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I liked it more than you, though. I will say that, but I agree with you. The more connected narrative does this one a big favor. This is Sky Daisy's season, and they make the best of it. Minor spoiler, I really liked Daisy's dad and her mom and their whole dynamic. I do like it a lot as well. They were great. Even if I don't think the mother was a great villain, she was an interesting character nonetheless. There's still room for improving, but this is very good. I agree. Luckily, the season 3 to 5 is increasingly better. I don't think so, but here again, that's just me. I've seen a lot of people on board with what they did with season 5. I guess if you turn off your brain and forget how stupid time travel is and how much you need to suspend disbelief, I guess the pill can pass through. I just don't get it. I just don't. Let's read this one out. A very well done season that not only follows on further from the first season with an interesting story and action. The new characters, especially Nick's Blood's performance as Lance Hunter, were very memorable and fun. I do agree, Hunter was one of the best characters the show had, and one of the last good character that is not like an OG one from season one. But hey, let's keep going here. What an amazing season that was. A lot had happened this season and many shocking moments. This season definitely made me like the show very much. It is my second favorite show in the world so far. Anyone should like this amazing season. Well, that was a good season. I will say this. This season was amazing, exploring Sky's past and unraveling her true self while getting to know the effect of the Deity Project, what happened to Ban Rain, and getting to know all these characters is amazing. A total must watch. I do agree. Like when I read this comment, I do think I want to rewatch season 2 because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. This was an interesting season. Jiaying was one of the greatest villains ever, and it showed us who Sky or Spoiler really is. Okay, I will cut you here. She was a bad villain. It's not because she is related to your main character that it makes her a good villain. No, she's not. She's a cliche trope. She is not a great villain. Let's be honest. The best villain the show had was Grant Ward. At some extent, Garrett from season 1 was kind of cool. But I think the one that took the cherry in the entire show is Grant Ward. Now, I will say this. The Kree in season 5 were fine. Well, the main villain, not his brother. His brother was just plot device material, which is kind of bad. Okay. The Inhuman storyline introduced by this season was quite thrilling, and I thought that spoiler was a very sad and moving moment. I guess this is when Sky Mother dies, maybe. Here again, critics and audience both liked it much more than me, but I will say this, even if this is the weakest of the first 3, I do remember the unique tone of it, and I do remember liking a lot that season, and I think I will rewatch it and enjoy it as much, or maybe more, after thinking more about the entire show. How this was like the end of the first chunk of episode, I should say, the first half of the show. Well, I cannot blame anybody for liking this much this season. I do understand your feeling. So here we are with the first 6 comments from the audience. Spoiler alert, going to use up words, so you have to read the whole comment to get to the spoiler. After season 1, this was my next favorite season. I was a cool villain, and I was glad they finally got Ward. Well, I will say this, I didn't like Ive. I think Ive was the first stepping stone that told me they don't know how to make interesting villain, because Ward was the best villain they were able to do, and they spent 3 seasons building him. I guess this is why I care so much about Warden. I guess this is why he is my favorite villain in the entire show. And I say that because right now I have seen the entire show as I am recording this. So let's move on. Probably one of the best seasons for this show. The character continues to be well written and the story is exciting and entertaining. I agree. I get that feeling, bruh. It's really good, threatening a villain and solid character moment. At this point, Fitz is by far my favorite character. Fitz, very likable. I think Hunter remain on top for me, but Fitz is not that far behind. And Daisy. By far the worst season. I don't mind the story to be particularly entertaining or interesting. Well, maybe you have missed season 6 and you tapped out, but season 6 was much worse. I don't plan on ever rewatching season 6 because that season was a mess. Fun, goofy, emotional show with more hugs than at airport arrival, which is charming. Okay. I have never seen someone develop a character in just 2 seasons the way Chloe Bennett did. That is talent. I agree. We will read out the next 3 and we will keep the big one, the novel, for last. Another fantastic season. I agree, that was a great season. I like it a lot. This is probably the scariest and highest tension season this show has had so far. It's probably because they introduced a new villain who is an inhuman who kills any inhuman who fight against him. And kills them in a terrifying way. I do agree. I remember season 3 being really dark because of that. And that's one of my good memories of season 3. Definitely one of the best seasons of the show and the most terrified one. I agree. Looking back, I think that's the darkest season, and this is the closest thing to horror we got in the show. The start of season 5 also has that horror vibe, but it fades away fast when you realize what's going on, and the alien are just in some floors, so they just stay away from there, and they don't meet the monsters anymore. This season was everything. Just the whole Inhuman arc and the Ward Coulson one was amazing. Melinda, may I love you. Even for network TV, the plotline are laughable. The arc with Ward is the most ridiculous in television history. Okay, that person just ate Marvel, I guess. Ward was great, but here again, we can disagree. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comment. If you have seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm really curious to see what you have to say. Because right now, we will take a look at the last comments. That's funny. You know why? I thought that would be longer, but it's not. Here we are. This season is an absolute blast. I agree. From removing some of the least favorite character, Hunter Bobby Lincoln, in a meaningful way. Well, I like these characters, so okay, have it your way. Having an ultra powerful enemy, these 22 episodes are great. While there are some episodes that seem kind of lacking. Watch Dogs, I agree. This one is the worst in season 3, I think. Bouncing Back, I don't quite remember. Inside Man, I agree. These I agree, but Bouncing Back, I don't quite remember. I think that's like after the mid-season break, like when they came back from the other planets. I don't really remember what was going on in this one, so I can't tell, but I agree with Watchdog and Inside Man. These are really bad episodes. Despite sometimes introducing concepts that are very important, Ward is finally removed from this series. Well, he was the best villain, but hey, have it your way. After a run full of character shift while making you in a way mourn for this character. I agree. Fitzsimmons fans may hate 4722 hours, but will be rewarded in the team. I've act as a great enemy, and even more so does the South Daisy. The finale is second only to the end and is worth the watch. I highly advise this show. So I will speak about 4722 hours. That was something else. It's rare episode centered around one character appeal me that much. But I remember this one being great because it's unique. It gives that file the rewind. It gives that vibe we got from Matt Damon on Mars. I forgot the name of the movie, but it was Stranded on Mars. Well, we get the same thing with Gemma, and we know Gemma, and what she's going through is emotional, it's interesting. She doesn't want to forget Fitz, but she needs to move on. So, yeah, 4722 will always remain one of the episodes I remember the most. It's not my favorite because there's a lot of episode out there I like more, but I will always remember this episode as being that great stone, that great episode I enjoyed a lot, and I cannot wait to rewatch it eventually. Here we are with the sad case of the third season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, there's a lot of good and bad in it. I think that season had a lot of good ideas. But here we are. We have more storyline about double agent, double cross, plot twist, plot twist. Look, I enjoy plot twist, but most of the plot twists are just things we already have seen with other characters. Oh, this person is a double agent. Oh, this person was doing that all along. Oh, that person is not really the boss. Oh. This is sad. I think overall that season had these amazing episodes, but then we had these bad episode. It's a mixed bag, to be honest, and I think so far, based on the first three seasons, just because they keep using the same kind of plots, well, it's the weakest season. Not that far behind season 2, because we had some really amazing episode here. So overall, I think I rated 9.5. Never mind. 9.4 out of 10 season 3. However, it lost a full point because it feels like they lack idea for new things to happen in the show. They keep using double agents. They keep using men inside, women inside. I'm kind of fed up with it, to be honest. Now, I will say this. My favorite episode so far was in this season, Parting Shots. In case the title means nothing for you, this is the goodbye episode for Hunter and Bobby. That was an amazing one. Even if these two characters are still alive, they left the show, they got rid enough, and the departure was emotional. To be honest, I had tears in my eyes because I know it's some kind of goodbye, and I don't know if I will ever see again these characters, but I think it's more like the sacrifice they did, because sacrifice is one of the biggest theme in that season, and that episode had a lot of good things in it, and I'm glad they rolled off these two characters because I feel like this season gave everything to these two characters. What I mean by there is I don't see these characters changing if they stick around. So having them getting their happy ending is perfect. Now another great character this season, Lincoln, the guy that has magnet power that uses electricity and stuff. That guy in one season, he had such a big role. He was great. It was amazing. He had a character arc. At first, he wasn't Shield just for Daisy, and at some point he realized Shield is more than that, and he likes it, and he is on board with Shield. And at the end, he sacrificed himself for Daisy, but also the mission, and that was great. I think a really strong team in that season is you make your own destiny, because a lot of things like vision from the future happen, and some happen and other stuff don't happen because you make your own destiny. So that season is really, really good despite bad. And it's just very sad. We keep having double agent people inside. I'm so done seeing that. Like the first time around, that was amazing. We had many plot twists, and that was like, oh, what a surprise. But then you're like, okay, it's like 10th time I see that person flipping. Now another issue with season 3, Hydra, man. Come on, I really hope season 4 doesn't use Hydra anymore. Season 1 and 2 made Hydra great, but here's the thing, sometimes when your villain it's the same, but it wears different face, it's not really great, and it feels like Hydra was just the same from season 1 to season 3 with different leaders. And that bothers me so much. It's lazy, like search elsewhere, find other people. And I feel like Ive, the new villain, was just another version of what we had in season 2. What we had in season 2, Daisy Mother, Sky Mother, wanted to change humanity and kill whoever is not inhuman. And she wanted to turn the world inhuman or dead. And I want to turn everyone he can into inhuman. So it's basically the same thing but with other term and other mean to an end. And it was kind of sad, to be honest. Now, I feel like that season was about Melinda. In season 2 it was about Daisy, in season 1 it was about Coulson. I liked a lot the fact that each season felt different despite the lazy plot twists I don't really enjoy. I think they tried their best to make the series about other characters so they are not wasted, and I like it a lot. So far I enjoy Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. even if that season is the weakest. I think it's just the weakest because I feel like I've seen so many times the same thing with other characters. It's really this. It's some kind of fatigue toward that use of lazy writing. And I feel the same with the boys. The boys, they kept some character only to give them the same character arc every season. It felt the same here, but it's a bit different because other people are double agent and stuff. Now, Coulson going dark was kind of cool, and the tease that Daisy may be a villain in season 4 was great. So I think, based on what I've heard at least, this is the peak of the show. I will still watch to the end. I'm really curious to see how everything plays out. And I will also say this. The Gemna-centric episode on the other planet, I can't remember the name, sorry about that. That was another great episode I really enjoyed. So, it's not all bad. But I will also say this. A lot of the episode, I can't remember where exactly, I only remember my tier list. I've seen a lot of season 3 episode ending up like in the bottom, not really last place, but like instead of S rank, A rank, I've seen a lot of these like in C rank or D rank. Now here's the thing, I will do a stream once I'm done with this retrospective, and during that stream we will cover my tier list of all episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I cannot wait for that. So I'm looking forward to watch season 4. I think It will be a blast, just like season 3. Well, I hope I will get it. Anyway, that's it for now. This segment of the video is over. I almost forgot about that, about season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I do think the fabulous Lash character was well used. That was kind of cool. Anyway, let's move on. Closing thoughts on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The retrospective, part 1, a strong foundation. Now, I call this a strong foundation because this is my thoughts. I do think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had a strong foundation with the first 3 seasons. I think it went off a cliff later on, but hey, that first 3 season was enjoyable. It was great, entertaining. I liked it a lot. A lot. Now, I do think the writing was good. It was funny. It's a light-hearted show. With season 3 a bit darker, and that's one of the reasons why I think I remember more about season 3 than the other two, even if on a subjective standpoint, I do think season 1 and 2 are much better in terms of writing, execution, all the good stuff. Season 3 still hold its own in the balance. Now, let's speak about MCU connectivity. It wasn't that connected. They do use a bit of the MCU lore, like the Sokovia Accord. They do speak about when Hydra is revealed to the world. It's they mention like Captain America, Steve Rogers, the super soldier serum and stuff. They do address that a lot, but I'm glad it's not that connected to the MCU. It feels like its own thing that use a bit of the lore from the MCU, and I'm glad for that. Not that the MCU was bad by the time Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was out, but mainly because when I watch something, I want the whole thing. Like, I want to watch something that feels like something. I don't want to watch something that is something by the help of something else. I don't want to. And this is why I do think Disney, Marvel, fails a lot, because all of their Disney Plus TV show, they all need to connect to movies, they all need to connect with each other. I don't want to watch them all, and I don't like being lost if I miss one. And this is the current state of Disney Marvel. So I do like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, I have seen the MCU, but it's not fresh in my mind. It's been many years I have seen the MCU. And I was still able to understand what was going on, and I like my trip with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, coming next week, we have a part 2. The middle, I don't know the title yet for part 2. But part 2, we will cover season 4, season 5. And then, in the third and last part, we will cover season 6 and 7. Now, I hope this video sold well, like my thoughts, my mixed thoughts on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. first 3 seasons. This is very fun to discover new stuff. Anyway, if you want to see more retrospective for other TV shows, well, in the description below, you got the Arrow retrospective 3 video again, the Smallville retrospective 3 video again. With that being said, I hope guys and girls enjoyed the content. Up in one of my streams here and there. Like, comment, and subscribe, all the good YouTube stuff, you know? See you next time.